What's up, everybody? Welcome inside to League Unlocked. My name's Eric, and if you're not in a massive state of cardiac displeasure or discomfort after the games over the weekend with Group B, Cloud9 with their miracle run to finish second in that group and one game away from finishing first. The action continues at Worlds with Group A featuring G2, Afreeca, Phong Vu Buffalo, and of course the Flash Wolves, each team playing at least 3 games, and there's plenty of opportunity for tie breaks, as pretty much any group is going forward. And the games were furious in Group B, and Group C, things got started off a little bit slower. You had Afreeca taking on the Flash Wolves. Afreeca kind of made their cut their teeth in the LCK as playing a slow-paced, methodical game, and that's what people were expecting coming into this event, and that's exactly what we got in game one of Group A action. And you can see by the draft, I mean, the Lissandra's a pick that's become more common as this tournament's gone out. Nocturne's been a pretty staple pick in the jungle, and the Akali in that mid lane is always interesting to see. Usually it's been banned, but it was Afreeca diving not really early on. It was a kind of late first blood in this matchup, going in Tucson with the Tom Kench. They don't get the double. They only end up getting one, but Afreeca was in complete control in a macro sense for this one. They were dominating the turrets. Vision, Flash Wolves couldn't see anything. There was a lot of darkness on this map, and Afreeca could pretty much pick the team fights that they wanted to. And spoilers, there weren't that many team fights in this one, but this is one that really blew up in that mid lane. Gets a double kill for Kramer on the Varus, and that was pretty much it. One team fight like that, 5-1 in kills. Totally opposite from what we saw the last day of Worlds, but it's Afreeca who comes away with it in that one to get back. They go to 2-2 after the rough starts for the LCK. Second match of the day, G2 taking on Phong Vu, who handed G2 their only loss in day one. And early on, it was all the Buffalo, all the boys from Vietnam. They got a pretty sizable gold lead early on. They were knocking down turrets left, right, and center on the side of G2, and this time it was Perks on the Akali in this one, and he was putting on a clinic. This team fight here really was a turning point for G2. Like I said, they were way down in gold. He has the nice flash to get away from the knockup from Poppy, and this is just the toxicity that you get out of Akali. 1v3, and he can just hop in and out of this shroud, and he stays alive forever. And then Big Koro, he flashed in a little too aggressively. He gets completely popped by the Aatrox. Wonder has shown that he's fantastic on that champion, as a whole lot of players have showcased. It's a pretty darn strong pick. Then we got the Baron fight. Jankos can't come in till it's already down, so Phong Vu grabbed the Baron buff, but it's this fight afterwards that's the key. G2's gonna pick up a couple of kills. Hjarnan grabbed some, and this fight went on for a little while. They'd eventually chase down Jaros on the Jace, got a kill on him, and then so they lost the Baron, but it didn't matter because they got a bunch of kills. And then they trade Baron for Elder. It's Phong Vu that grabbed the Elder, but they have 4 Dragon stacks, so it's actually a pretty sizable or fair trade for them. But then Wonder comes in with the TP flank, and Big Koro, you are all alone, good sir. In a 1v3, he's gonna get taken down by the likes of Wonder, and G2 turn that pick. They just say, let's keep going. They eventually run it down mid and have no fear. They are diving deep with this Baron buff. It helps when you have that Aatrox passive so that you can die and it doesn't matter, but G2 can close it out from there. A horrible early game, which has been an ongoing theme for G2 so far at Worlds 2018, but they rebound back from it after some clutch team fights from them. And Perks 11-2 and 11 on that Akali. 23 kills in the game. He was a part of 22 of them, so fantastic performance from the captain of G2. And with that, they moved to 3-1. Most people had G2 third or fourth in this group, but 3-1, they are in the driver's seat to finish, not only get out of the group, but even finish as that top spot in that top seed, with Afreeca struggling in their first round robin, but now they're sitting at 2-2 after their win. But G2 in the driver's seat going forward in Group A. And coming up after the break, we'll go through the rest of the highlights. There's still the potential for a 4-way tiebreaker. That's why every single team in the group could be tied. Hello, you beautiful people. Welcome back to League Unlocked. Running through the action from Group A as it wraps up from Worlds. And it's G2 who's gotten off to the fantastic start. 3-1, sitting alone on top of the standings right now with Afreeca and Flash Wolves right behind them at 2-2. So pretty much every matchup going forward is going to be massive. And that was exactly the case against the Flash Wolves, which was G2's next matchup, who they took down in dramatic fashion on the first round robin action. I mean, Flash Wolves win. These guys are tied in the standings, and you're going to potentially have some tiebreakers closing things out. And G2, we've seen they love playing split push comps 1-3-1 with their outstanding solo laners in Wonder and Perks. And I mean, that's just kind of the theme you see from them. And Flash Wolves, we know they love to fight, and fighting was pretty much everywhere, left, front, and center in this game. You saw the Afreeca Flash Wolves match, 5-1 in kills. This one had a whole lot more than in this one. And obviously, Perks not on the Akali in this one. He's on Lissandra, in fact. And the main thing you want to check out here, you might be confused, in that bottom lane, that's a zombie Brand. Yeah. Hjarnan didn't run the Heimerdinger. He went Brand in the bottom lane with the Tom Kench. Obviously a very interesting pick. And G2, you know, they thrived in that mage meta when it was way back in early summer split. Obviously, everyone has switched to 80 carries these days. But Brand, a very interesting pick, because when you're against something like a Scion, I mean, theoretically, it should be good for tank busting with all that percent damage, percent max health damage that he does. But Hjarnan didn't build a Liandry's until very late in the game, which is a little insane considering they recently buffed that item. So I was a bit confused by that pick, but nonetheless, here we go. Jankos is hanging around for so long trying to steal this Baron. He's all alone in here. And when he pops the stopwatch, Flash will stop the DPS. He can't smite when he's golden, but they still somehow lose that Baron after Jankos is running around the pit. He probably ran 2 kilometers or 365 Teemos in that span before he actually gets the steal. And then G2 actually kind of lost the fight afterwards, but they did end up locking down the Elder Dragon. And then Flash Wolves looked to continue that fight. They had the slowest Elder Dragon you'll ever see, even with the Brand in there. That's just what happens when you don't have an 80 carry in your comp. And Flash Wolves say, we definitely want some of this fight. Hjarnan does take down Betty, but the nice Weaver's Wall by Muujin cuts off the escape for Wadid, and they're going to clean up even more kills. And then it's the Scion ult, run it down the mid lane. G2 in this last fight, again, these fights, you see the kill count, 25-18. There were a ludicrous amount of fights. We don't even have time to include every single fight that was in here. But if you like crazy team fights that are prolonged for multiple minutes, where you almost see 2 ultimates every fight because they're so extended, make sure you check out the entire VOD for this game, because it was absolutely insane. But this fight going half of Summoner's Rift that they're throwing everything down, and it's Betty on the Sivir in the late game. Turns out in these late games, a Sivir or an 80 carry in general is pretty darn good. It's a fiesta for the ages, but Flash Wolves get redemption from losing in their first round robin matchup against G2. The Brand in the bottom lane doesn't actually work out. You'd think, I got a few question marks about that pick. You'd think a Kai'Sa would just be better to bust up the tanks down in that bottom lane, and especially in the late game. Maybe G2 were hoping on snowballing that lane and not going that late, but they do end up going late, and I think not having an 80 carry really hurts them in that regard. So they fall to 3-2, and now Flash Wolves are tied with them at that 3-2 spot. But that Jankos Baron steal, obviously the highlight of that game. He was running around for so long. Flash Wolves tried everything to not let him get in. He still blast cones in. He pops the stopwatch and still gets the steal. So definitely some miscommunication there by Flash Wolves, but it doesn't matter in the end. They come away with the win to make the standings oh so very interesting. And then the fourth match of the day, you had Afreeca taking on the Phong Vu Buffalo. Afreeca 2-2, and the Buffalo 1-3 coming into this. So if the Buffalo win, I mean 2-3, or if Afreeca wins, they're tied at 3-2 with the likes of G2 and Flash Wolves. So obviously some huge implications for this one. Also, if Phong Vu lose, they cannot get out of groups. They are eliminated from that contention. So they're playing for their world's lives, and Afreeca are playing for redemption. And what better way to redeem themselves, especially Keen in particular, who struggled in the first round robin. Just give him the Jax and give him some jungle attention early on. Spirit on the Nocturne. They head to the top lane, and they're getting the gank on Camille. First blood goes the way of Keen, and Spirit survives. That's how you want to get things rolling. And the bot lane of Tucson and Kramer, Xayah Thresh, a pretty darn aggressive lane. Tucson lands the hook, and that is going to be a kill. And then Phong Vu was running it down in the mid lane with the Rift Herald. They would get the kill there, and then they decide, let's just keep on fighting, boys. The Galio rolls in for Naul, and you had Kuro on the Swain in this one, by the way. He gets a trade kill as he goes down, but it's actually Phong Vu who clean up some of these kills, but then Kramer on the other side. These fights early on were a whole lot of back and forth. Then Afreeca is posturing around the Baron, and it's Pallet who kind of face checks. He's going to get taken down by the Thresh hook. The Keen on the Jax was getting a little bit terrifying. Tucson saves Kuro with the Lantern, and that is a fight in the favor of Afreeca. They would grab a Baron off of that, and then it's Keen going in 1v4. Doesn't matter, just Jax things. He is eventually going to go down here, but the rest of Afreeca are there. They pop so many cooldowns to take down the Jax. It doesn't even matter. The Galio ultimate is too late. The fight is already lost. Afreeca pretty much in control, save for a couple of the fights in the mid-game. They're in control for the entirety of that one. They win their second in a row to move to 3-2, eliminating Phong Vu Buffalo from Worlds contention for them. And Afreeca looking a whole lot better here on their third day of action. They start off 2-0. We remember how bad the LCK was looking and how much Korean fans were panicking. Obviously, Gen G finishing 1-5 and the defending world champs not even getting out of groups is definitely reason to panic, but Afreeca giving a little bit of hope for the LCK here on the final day of group stage action in Group A. 2-0 start, so we got a three-way tie at the top of the standings between Afreeca, Flash Wolves, and G2. And coming up after the break, you know there's going to be a whole lot of high-stake games, as any one of those three squads could finish as the top seed coming out of Group A. We're back on League Unlock. My name's Eric, and with just 2 games left in the group stage for Group A, you have a three-way tie at first at 3-2 between Flash Wolves, G2, and the Afreeca Freaks. So you can imagine some way or another there's going to be some tiebreakers going forward. But the 5th match was Flash Wolves taking on the Phong Vu Buffalo, who are just playing for pride at this point. They have no chance of getting out of groups, and if Flash Wolves win this matchup, then they are guaranteed a quarterfinals berth, and at worst, they're playing for a tiebreaker for that second spot, or for that first spot. They're playing a tiebreaker for first, they're guaranteed at least second. So just win against a team that you should beat, and you're smooth sailing into quarterfinals. Flash Wolves and Phong Vu, they make a sub for this game. They got Zhu Hao, who comes in the jungle, making his Worlds debut. Nice to give him some stage time before their run ends. And he was active early. He was actually dominating that jungle matchup on the Camille. He got a couple, I believe he got triple buffs. He got both scuttles. He grabbed the kill there in that top lane for Gyros. So a fantastic start for him. And this game, much like the other Flash Wolves game against G2, was bloody. There was a whole lot of team fights, and even though you got Flash Wolves way ahead in kills, they were actually down in gold, which is surprising to see. We know Flash Wolves love team fighting, but I think they love team fighting a little bit too much in this one. That results 4 kills, or 3 kills in the favor of Phong Vu. Then they turn on the Baron. They grab the Baron, and they grab some kills on the way out as well, as Maple is trying to contest. He can't do anything. That's a Baron and a bunch of kills in the favor of Phong Vu. And then they say, well, let's fight over the Elder as well. They grab that one, and you know, Kaisa late game with an Elder Dragon is going to be absolutely terrifying. She's terrifying enough without an Elder Dragon buff. So she's just untouched in this fight. Big Koro is popping off, destroying everybody. He's going AP because his W's were doing insane amounts of damage. And Phong Vu, when you're playing for nothing, you seem to play oh so much more freely. They play to take down Flash Wolves, do a favor to the likes of Afreeca and G2, and send them to a 500 record of 3-3. And that means Flash Wolves, you are not secured a spot. You're not locked into the quarterfinals. They're obviously watching the next game that we'll get to in a sec is the G2 and Afreeca. So Flash Wolves play the loser of that one, which means for all you guys who have wanted a winner's final and a loser's final for the format to change to Worlds, you're basically getting that here because Flash Wolves at 3-3, they play the loser of Afreeca and G2, who are the final matchup of the day. The winner of G2, Afreeca, go as the top seed and advance to the quarterfinals. Loser will play Flash Wolves for that second seed. And we got the Jhin for Hjarnan, Cassiopeia on Perks, and Wonder on his patented Aatrox. The action was all in the bottom lane for Afreeca. Spirit on the Gragas grabs some kills for them. And then it's G2 grabbing a Baron with the double smite. They got down early, but they rebounded back into this game to actually get a pretty decent lead. After they grab the Baron, they're just running for the hills. But Kramer runs into the back line and destroys Hjarnan, but not quite enough damage to take down Perks through that massive Seraph's Embrace shield. And Cassiopeia is a walking minigun, a cannon of DPS, but Keen comes in on that rise. Love seeing him back on carry champion. So a lot of G2 members go down, and then it's G2 around the Baron. This time it's Afreeca that picks it up, and what are you doing, G2? You can't really contest this. It's again Kramer who continuously was diving the backline to take out Hjarnan. He's gonna grab a triple kill on this one, and then it's Perks left all by his lonesome. He can't clean that one up. There was a point where G2 was pushing in to the Afreeca Freaks base, but it's AFS who's bouncing back here to swing the gold in their favor when they're grabbing a Baron like that. Jankos tries to engage on Kramer, but he only gets him to about half health. The Galio's there to follow him up. Hjarnan gets a trade kill, but again, it's Kramer flashing in to take down Hjarnan and finish him off. The nice cask by Spirit gets him out of the way, and G2 had a chance. They were playing the 1-3-1 pretty darn well, but they got caught out multiple times. Not what you want to be seeing. And Afreeca, after their tumultuous 1-2 start, they go 3-0 on the final day of action in Group A to finish 4-2, and they're coming out as the top seed from the LCK and from Group A. So Korean fans as a whole can breathe a sigh of relief. They're getting at least one team, and pretty sure KT is going to sneak out of that group, but Afreeca comes out as that top seed, as people were expecting. Not quite the road traveled that you would have expected them to take to get there, but they do finish 4-2. They do finish as that top seed, but we're not done with action from Group A, because after Phong Vu did Flash Wolves a favor, or did G2 a favor, because, by the way, if Phong Vu had lost to Flash Wolves like everyone thought they would have, and G2 lost to Afreeca here like they did, they'd be out. Their Worlds 2018 run would be over, but thanks to the Buffalo, thank you, Mr. Buffalo, they will be playing against Flash Wolves in that tiebreaker for the second seed. Whoever wins is advancing to quarterfinals, something G2 has never done in their team's history, and something Flash Wolves haven't done since way back in 2015. So a whole lot of the line on this one, the final day, or the final game of action for Group A, and obviously pretty high stakes stuff. So what do? You go to comfort picks. What's a comfort pick for G2? It's Heimerdinger in the bottom lane. They didn't pick it last time against Flash Wolves when it was open, but boy did they pick it this time. And Flash Wolves counter with Mordekaiser in the bottom lane for Betty. Oh, Season 8, you get the Mordekaiser versus Heimerdinger matchup. What a world we're living in. And Perks got the Irelia in this one, and he was running amok in the solo lanes for G2. And in that bottom lane, you know that Flash Wolves are picking Mordekaiser in hopes of just shoving that bot lane, getting dragons, and getting that Mordekaiser dragon to snowball and destroy turrets, but they weren't getting any dragons early on. That dive helped G2 get that bottom lane ahead, and once a Heimerdinger's ahead, it's pretty disgusting to try and combat that push. And then you had, G2 can basically threaten Baron at any point with those Heimer turrets. They bait the Flash Wolves in, clean up some kills. Wonder on the Aatrox, who he seems to be getting way too often that he's grabbing that champion. He does go down. It's actually a pretty even trade, but G2 just continually, we're setting up vision around that Baron and just waiting for Flash Wolves to try and come in, which they do here. Hjarnan grabs a kill on Vidanger, and then it's Perks going in 1v3 on that Irelia because, again, he was incredibly fed. He did get caught out once or twice, which was a theme today for both Wonder and Perks in some of these split pushing. Here he is, 1v2 under turret, forces the flash out of Maple. He's trying to do this 1v1 when he's way low health against the Urgot, and he's actually turning it around, but if you're paying attention at the bottom of the screen, that doesn't even matter because the rest of G2 is cleaning up Flash Wolves, and you got Hjarnan in the base with the Snowmerdinger taking down Nexus turrets. He's got the turrets. That's the Nexus. G2, for the first time in their team's existence, no Sven and Mithy, no two-time EU LCS MVP. They didn't even win any LCS splits this year, but with this new roster, 4 out of 5 new members, they get out of groups in a group that pretty much nobody picked them to be able to get out of. Neither Mark or I had them getting out of this group. It was all Flash Wolves and Afreeca in any kind of order, but G2 carries the torch that C9 started, the fire that they burned in Group B to get out of groups. G2 carries on that theme here in Group A, and wow, you did not expect the team. So that's 2 for 2 play-in teams in C9 and G2 that had to go through as that third seed. They had to run the gauntlet, they had to go through the play-in stage, and now they're advancing to the quarterfinals to play some best of 5s. And congratulations to G2. They did what Vitality was oh so close to doing. They avenged their fallen comrades and get into the round of 8. And for Afreeca and the LCK, they get a little bit of redemption, finishing as a top seed, as you expect every Korean team to do at pretty much any world championship that they've ever been to since season 2. But even though they did that, I think there's still some serious question marks. And if you're the likes of Cloud9 or any of the other second seeds from the other groups, you're kind of hoping it's not the end of the world if you draw Afreeca in that knockout round, because you definitely don't want to draw RNG, even though they did look vulnerable in that group. That's the team you don't want to play, as well as KT, assuming they're going to finish as that top seed out of Group C, which I think there's a good chance they go 6-0. They probably have the best chance out of any of the teams, even RNG when you saw that coming into day 2. KT likely going to be going as that top seed. You don't want to play them, so here's hoping, if you're a Cloud9 fan, that they maybe draw Afreeca or the likes of someone from Group D, because you don't want KT and you can't draw RNG. So be interesting to see. Group C action is what gets going tomorrow, where NA's, what we thought was NA's best hope in Liquid, is 1-2 heading into the final day. They'll have to do a pretty fantastic run if they want to finish as that second seed. That's all the time today for League Unlocked. My name's Eric. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.